pleasure to be here, and I'm very, very impressed by how many people have come out so early this morning. This election that we face in just a little over 2 weeks' time is not about who said what to whom in the lift, and I will say that I do reserve the right when there is a substantial untruth. When my old friend Ken Livingstone says something he knows isn't true, I reserve the right to correct him in a robust and informative way. It's not about party political broadcasts that move people to tears. As I pointed out to Ken, the old new fancy the other day, I don't think he's the only person in London capable of being moved to hot tears of real emotion at the prospect of his return to power in this city. I think this election is very simple. It's about trust and who has the best plans to take London forward at a time when only 4 years ago this whole country was brought to the brink of bankruptcy by irresponsible fiscal policy and wasteful approach to the management of public finances. And it is precisely because times have been so tough and because the public finances are in such disrepair that you've got to be honest, you've got to be straight with Londoners about where your money is coming from and how people in government are going to spend it. And that's why I'm proud to say I have a fully costed, fully funded 9-point plan, which will be produced by my agents at the back. Got it? You got the 9-point plan? Thank you very much. Thanks, Jonathan. Which is all about rooting out billions of unnecessary expense and putting it where Londoners want to see it. And that's what we've basically been doing over the last 4 years. We've taken huge sums of cost out of TfL. I don't think this is sufficiently appreciated. That we've taken about £2 billion already out of TfL in unnecessary. I'm talking about 23 buildings that have been sold or otherwise disposed of. 25% of the directors of TfL have found alternative employment, possibly in Venezuela. 4,223 desks have been sold. We've taken a huge amount of work, and we're continuing with our work of taking cost out of the Met as well. I don't know if you saw in the paper yesterday a couple of the Grace and Favour flats being sold off. We are taking out waste and we're putting that money where people want to see it. We're able to, and we got rid of some of the loony extravagance of the previous administration. Hundreds of millions were being wasted through the LDA, and we've been able to concentrate resources on cutting council tax. We've frozen it year after year. It went up under the last mayor by £964 for a Band D household. We've frozen it in real terms, we've cut it. And I think it's an important thing to do in tough times. We've also been able to concentrate those scarcer resources on getting more police out on the beat where people want to see them. And London at the moment is an oasis of high police numbers in a sea of budget cuts in police forces around the country. And that's because we've been able to go to government and make the case for more funding for London. And there are going to be 1,000 more officers on the streets of London at the end of this 4-year term, this first 4-year term, more than there were at the beginning. That's a very considerable achievement. And we will be able to protract those high numbers for the foreseeable future. We're putting 2,000 more now into the safer neighbourhood teams. We're largely getting them out from desk jobs, specialist squads of one kind or another, where they've been silting up over the last few years. We're getting them out into the safer neighbourhood teams. That's 3 police constables and 3 special constables who have all the power of a fully warranted officer into every one of the 624 safer neighbourhood teams. That is a very, very important way of continuing to drive down crime in this city. It's come down already by more than 10% in the last... Good morning. Crime's down already by 10%, 10.8% in the last 4 years. Some indicators are very substantially down. Robbery is down 16%. The bus crime is down more than a third. Crime on the tube, partly because we banned alcohol on public transport, is well down. We now have one of the safest public transport networks, safest tube systems anywhere in Europe. That's a distinguished thing to achieve, and I'm very, very proud of it. But we've got to keep going. We've got to keep making London ever safer and more attractive to live in. That means an attention to neighbourhood policing, and by the way, the murder rate, which you cannot fudge. Modern DNA techniques make it very difficult to dispose of a corpse, cover up a murder. The murder rate in London is now fully 25% lower than it was when I was elected 4 years ago. That is a credit to the Metropolitan Police. It's a credit to our system of getting more police out there, deterring more police officers out there, and deterring crime. We are going to continue to do that, and I will continue to fight for the budgets that keep those police numbers high. I want to go on with our work of investing in the things that drive the London economy. I'm talking particularly of outer London high streets, the small businesses that are the potential employers of thousands of young people. And some of you may know that we have an Outer London fund that I think has been doing some remarkably good work, putting millions into parts of London that were neglected under the previous mayor, helping to support small businesses around the city and helping them, therefore, to take on the young people who are at risk of falling behind during this recession. We've done 54,000 apprenticeships already over the last 4 years. We're going to do another, we're going to go up to 100,000 by the end of this year. And I think we can do 250,000 over the lifetime of the next mayoralty. That is the way forward for young people in our city. It is an absolute tragedy that so many of them face the prospect of ending up on the dole. They need to be in places of work, and our apprenticeship scheme, I think, is the way forward. Above all, if you're going to make London a successful and prosperous city, you've got to fight crime, you've got to invest in young people, but you've also got to keep investing in the transport infrastructure that underpins this city and that makes economic growth possible. And you should not forget that ridership now on the tube and on the rail system is expected to increase by about 30% just over the next 8 years. In other words, a system that is already creaking is going to explode unless we maintain our current levels of investment. And we think, I know, that we can go on with our programme of cutting delays. You may not believe it, anybody who uses the Jubilee line, you may not believe the statistic I'm about to reveal, but it is a fact that under this administration, over the last 4 years, delays on the tube have come down by, guess how much, well, I'm going to ask you, guess how much you think, guess how much delays on the tube have come down by? 10. Actually, someone just said 50%, which I thought was very generous. They have in fact come down. They have in fact come down by 40%, and that is because we have been making those investments in the new track, in the new signalling that are absolutely vital for London's future. And on the Jubilee line, which admittedly had difficulties about 18 months ago, you're now seeing the trains moving on average 3 miles an hour faster through the tunnels. We are seeing real progress, and we want to go further, and we want to go faster, and I'm going to go forward as your mayor in the next term, if I'm elected, with a programme of automated train control, which will mean that we no longer, I will no longer buy for Transport for London a train that has an old-fashioned driver's cab. We can go forward with train captains, with just as, in fact, even safer arrangements for the passengers, and a system that not only delivers faster and more efficient service, but that allows us to take out cost in London Underground and hold down fares, therefore, in a way that is honest and is sustainable for London. That is what I will do in the next term. And all those investments taken together, not just in transport, but also, of course, in housing. We've done 50,000 new affordable homes over the lifetime of this mayoralty. We've put in new space standards. We've insisted that at least 42% should be family homes, and we've done everything we can to support. Thank you very much. We've done everything we can to support the Jewish community in North London, in specifying that there should be proper affordable housing of the kind that is required, haven't we?
Yes, you have.
Thank you. And I hope I have turned up to argue your case sufficiently often. I have. And we will continue. And we will continue with that work. We will continue with